Is your dog aging faster than they actually should be? You probably think aging is just genetics, breed, size, bloodline, a clock that ticks at whatever speed it was always going to tick at, with nothing you can do to change it. But the truth is more hopeful than that, and more urgent at the same time. Researchers studying canine aging have found that a dog's environment, weight, activity level, and even their stress levels can measurably speed up or slow down how quickly their body actually ages, regardless of what the birth certificate says. Most owners have no idea their dog might be aging faster than their years suggest, because the signs don't look like an emergency. They look like normal, unremarkable getting older. The kind of thing you nod at and move on from without a second thought. Stay until the end, because sign 4 is the one that most owners mistake for stubbornness, right up until a vet explains what's actually happening underneath it. Sign 1. The muzzle. Going grey too soon. Every dog greys eventually. A little white creeping in around the mouth and eyes is simply part of getting older, and on its own, it means almost nothing. But researchers studying premature greying in dogs have found a genuinely fascinating pattern. Dogs who show significant white fur far earlier than their breed and size would predict often have measurably higher levels of anxiety and chronic stress than their same-aged, still dark-muzzled peers. In other words, grey fur showing up too early isn't just cosmetic. It can be a visible marker of a nervous system that has been working overtime for longer than it should have to. If your young or middle-aged dog already has a noticeably greying face, it's worth asking a different question than just how old they are. It's worth asking what in their daily life might be keeping their stress response switched on more than it needs to be, and whether there's something small you could change today to help them settle. Sign 2. Stiffness that lingers after rest. A little slowness getting up from a nap is normal, even in a fairly young dog. But if that stiffness takes minutes to work itself out, if your dog needs to visibly shake off soreness before they can move normally, that's a different story entirely. Veterinarians increasingly recognize that early-onset joint stiffness, arthritis showing up well before it typically would for a dog's breed and size, is one of the clearest physical markers that a dog's body is aging faster than its calendar age suggests. The encouraging part is that this particular sign responds well to intervention. Weight management, appropriate exercise, and joint support can meaningfully slow this specific kind of aging, which makes it one of the most actionable signs on this entire list, and one where the payoff for acting early is genuinely significant. Sign 3. The cloudiness in their eyes. Here's where owners often get confused, and understandably so. A faint bluish haze in an older dog's eyes is usually just lenticular sclerosis, a normal, harmless part of aging that doesn't need treatment. But a denser, whiter, more opaque cloudiness, especially if it shows up well before a dog's senior years, can indicate cataracts, and cataracts in a younger dog are frequently connected to underlying metabolic issues that are quietly accelerating the aging process throughout the rest of their body, not just in their eyes. The lesson here isn't to panic at the first sign of haze. It's to actually get it checked, because the difference between the two versions of cloudy eyes is the difference between nothing to worry about and an early warning worth taking seriously. And only a vet can reliably tell you which one you're looking at. Sign 4. The middle of the night disorientation. Your dog wakes you at 3 a.m., not because they need to go outside, but because they seem lost. Standing in a corner, staring at a wall, pacing in circles, or seeming unsure of where they are in a house they've lived in for years. Most owners chalk this up to stubbornness or a bad dream, or simply being an old dog being difficult. But veterinary behaviorists describe this pattern as one of the hallmark early signs of canine cognitive dysfunction. a condition remarkably similar to dementia in humans, and one that can begin showing symptoms years earlier than most owners expect. This is the sign most owners get wrong the longest, because it's so easy to explain away as personality rather than physiology. But disorientation, disrupted sleep cycles, and confusion in familiar spaces are not stubbornness. They are your dog's brain aging in a way that deserves real medical attention, not a firmer bedtime routine. And the earlier it's caught, the more can often be done to slow it. If you've ever found your dog standing confused in a room they know perfectly well, hit subscribe right now. Because the final two signs are the ones that tie everything on this list together, and they explain why catching all of this early matters so much. Sign 5. Muscle loss despite normal eating. Run your hand along your dog's spine and hips. If bone feels more prominent than it used to, even though their appetite and weight haven't obviously changed, that's worth paying attention to. Veterinarians call this age-related muscle loss. And when it shows up earlier than expected, it's often one of the clearest internal signals that a dog's metabolism is aging faster than the rest of their body's timeline would suggest, even while the scale stays roughly the same. This one is easy to miss because it hides in plain sight, disguised as a dog who simply looks a little leaner, a little more angular, without ever ringing any obvious alarm bells. Sign 6. Tiring faster than they used to. The walk that used to leave them energized now leaves them flopped on the floor for the rest of the afternoon. The play session that used to last 20 minutes now fizzles out after 5. A gradual decline in stamina is a completely normal part of aging, but a sudden or unusually early drop in endurance, especially paired with a slower recovery time afterward, often reflects underlying cardiovascular or metabolic changes that are progressing faster than they should be for a dog of that age. Your dog isn't getting lazy. Their body may simply be spending more of its resources just keeping itself running, leaving less in the tank for everything else, which is exactly why this sign deserves more credit than the word laziness ever gives it. 6 signs. And here's the part that should genuinely change how you think about all of them. Aging in dogs isn't nearly as fixed as we've always assumed. Researchers now understand that a dog's biological age, how fast their body is actually aging on the inside, can diverge significantly from their chronological age, based on factors well within an owner's control. Weight, activity, mental stimulation, chronic stress, even the quality and consistency of their daily routine. This isn't a list meant to frighten you into thinking your dog is fading faster than they are. It's a list meant to hand you something rarer than reassurance, real influence over how those years actually unfold. You cannot stop your dog from aging. No one can. But you may have more power than you ever realized to determine whether those years arrive gently or arrive too soon. That's not a small thing. That might be one of the most important things you ever learn about the dog sitting beside you right now, and it's never too late to start acting on it. Age well together.